Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I'm gonna make a little review of the latest Earl Sweatshirt song, and I'll probably come up with some dramatic title for this video, like Earl Sweatshirt is the modern day Shakespeare. But what I really mean by that is that we have someone who, he's more than just a poet because his spoken voice is a big part of the sound of his voice is a big part of his music. Have you ever heard a vulnerable musician sound so strong in voice? It gives me shivers. His voice is like the roughest, most substantial, beautiful thing. It just cuts through everything. You can't ignore it. It's impossible. It's like a sword just cutting, just slicing through the air. It just goes straight at you. And this is someone who's prepared to be vulnerable in his music. He's prepared to open up about all sorts of things. He's prepared to share with his listeners the deepest truths of his life, about his family. He's getting vulnerable, but his voice is this substance. And I always found it, and the reason I bring Shakespeare into it is I always found it interesting, this one line of Earl Sweatshirts, and I think it was on some rap songs, the last album. And he said, "Don't tell me they don't hunt us for sport. I chose substances." And I think this was a reference to the Shakespeare line, which basically says that human beings are like flies on the necks of cruel boys who will just slap us down. And Shakespeare says they kill us for their sport. The gods kill us for their sport. And so when Earl Sweatshirt says, "Don't tell me they don't hunt us for sport," I think that's a direct reference to Shakespeare within this music, which has such integrity and such power. He's driving Shakespeare through with like some real power. And then the line in the 2010, he says, "Crescent moon wink, when I blinked it was gone." That's just a fantastic line. The way he performs it is beautiful, but "Crescent moon wink, when I blinked it was gone." And that also reminds me of a Shakespeare line. But I almost prefer this Earl Sweatshirt line, but I know Shakespeare says something like the moon is an error or something, or like the moon is a failure. As she comes nearer the earth than she was supposed to, men go mad. But what Earl Sweatshirt's saying is that, this crescent moon, when he blinked it was gone. And maybe that's like hope vanishing, it could also be read as that thing that makes you go crazy is going away, and now he's actually more stable and he's stronger, and now he's about to put out the best work of his career. It might even be a line of positivity. When the beauty he speaks about, the crescent moon, disappears, that's a good thing, because that beauty might send him mad. And he said, "Left the crib, smacked, no sheath on the sword." To me, no sheath on the sword. For me, I'm reading this in my own way, and I'm sure I'm getting everything wrong, but no sheath on the sword to me is like Earl Sweatshirt's vulnerability and uncompromising nature to say exactly what's on his mind. His voice, his vulnerable voice, his strong voice, his powerful voice is like a sword without a sheath, like that the sheath that would keep all of these deep things inside, that's gone, and now it's cutting through everything, and yeah, this language, sheath, sword, skin, teeth, it's raw, but it's poetic, it's deep poetry, and I don't, that's my, I don't read poets from published today anyway, but I'm just glad that I get my fix here. Rainy day came, couldn't rinse the stains off. Such a good line. Rainy day came, couldn't rinse the stains off. That is honestly such a good line. I prefer that to a lot of Shakespeare lines. To me, the rainy day coming is like that. typically that's a painful thing. That's a metaphor for pain. The rainy day is a metaphor for pain. But this makes me think of the quote that the cure for pain is in the pain. So rainy day came, couldn't rinse the stains off, is saying that even the painful thing couldn't cure me, which I just think is immensely powerful. I might have misread that, but that's the way I read it. And it's a new day, who got all the aces? I mean, come on. So powerful, In the end, Earl Sweatshirt's got all the aces. I haven't got all the aces. He's got all the aces. But also it's Black American culture, There's the song of Earl Sweatshirt's which starts like December 24th, I think, where he says, when, there's the sample where someone says, when will the Black American dialect be seen as a genuine, dialect of, or language be seen as a genuine dialect of English, because here, who is going to take Earl Sweatshirt seriously, as I take him? Because, if this guy wrote a novel, if this guy wrote like a book, that would be so much more interesting than anything we would be told to read in high school, but he's not seen in that way by a lot of people. He's seen simply as a rapper. And maybe that's what he wants. He doesn't see himself as a poet or a writer in that way, but maybe he does, I don't know. But, as I say, he said, I remember we hit that line about like, Daddy was a poet, right? Talk all you want, I'm taking no advice. He's his own voice, like he doesn't need his dad's. I mean, his dad, I think his dad was a poet laureate, his dad was a very widely respected poet, but Earl Sweatshirt's got his own thing, and he respects his dad. But anyway, I don't want to talk too much on that. It's not my place to talk about that. So, I'm just a enthusiastic white boy enjoying these lyrics. Fucking hell, it's a new day, who got all the aces? Not me. Because the truth is that it's a new day always brings me back to Nina Simone saying it's a new dawn, it's a new day. And that's the ultimate positive message. But that's, for me, that's elevation of black culture. It's saying this is my reading, so don't get mad at me for my reading. But to me, that's saying black Americans, after years of oppression, now they've got all the aces, they got all the lucky cards. I mean, I don't know a lot about cards, but I think the aces are not even the lucky cards, they're just the best cards to have. But I don't even know if my interpretation is not to say that now black people are the luckiest in society, in American society, only that, the power's in their hands in a way. But I don't know anything about cards, so I don't want to talk on that. I just think I love the line. And had a full plate, you ain't want to split it. I mean, true. I mean, who can't relate to that? That is just the easiest way, easiest but also sharpest way to explain American culture. All of these big businessmen, they've got a full plate and they don't want to split it. And the thing is, Earl Sweatshirt, from what I can see, is very loyal rapper and poet, in my opinion, but I don't want to call him a poet without his permission, who gives back to his friends who he trusts, and he puts them on his tracks. Like there are tracks which are just him, his friends, and he knows who his friends are, and so it's not him who doesn't want it, it's not him that lacks compassion, it's that's a general thing. And then there's another interesting line. I mean, genuinely, I don't have, the technicality of the music. I think the music's very compelling. I think it's got drive, but I'm more interested in the words because I'm not an expert when it comes to music, nor even the words. I'm just interested. But I found this line interesting about not religious. We was really out in Philly. I mean, like Philadelphia, I assume he means is sort of, as well as being where America's founding fathers gathered and where, freedom and all of these things were like put together. he's not saying that, he's not talking about that. And he's also not talking about Philadelphia's cheesesteaks, or casinos or monuments, He's, and I guess Philadelphia has lots of places of worship. I mean, I think it's just a very strange line. Like, when I heard it in the song, you don't immediately know. I mean, I didn't immediately know what he meant. Not religious, he was really out in Philly. And I almost thought it had something to do with feeling, like feeling. Philly, like feeling. But I don't know, it's just interesting. But yeah, I mean, the truth is that I don't even want to compare Shakespeare to a white author, All I'm saying is that if Earl Sweatshirt were born 2,000 years ago, he wouldn't be Earl Sweatshirt, he'd be seen as a prophet, called Tebe, who, it would just all be different, but it's just interesting. And I only made this video in order to just say that I want Earl Sweatshirt to write. I don't know, I want Earl Sweatshirt to put out as much as he can, really, and I want all the poetry houses and the publishers to just pay him 50,000 bags to make a book. Fucking amazing lyricist, and so powerful.